So here we are back again looking at example 1. It says the school district has buses that carry 12 passengers and buses that carry 24 passengers. The total passenger capacity is 780. There are 20 more small buses than large buses. 1. Determine the variables that you use. 2. Develop 2 equations. And 3 down here says verify that there are 35 of the smaller buses and 15 of the larger buses. So now I know that's not on your sheet, but just scribble that in real quick now. So the first step, determine what variables to use. I always try to, well, not always, but I try to, if I can, keep the variables representative of the question. So I'm going to say, well, let's let the small buses, the ones that carry 24 passengers, small buses, whoops, not BSSs, small buses, be the variable S. And our large buses be the variable L. I'm going to use capital L so my L doesn't look like a 1. Okay. Looking at the question, I know that the small buses carry 24 passengers. So if I wanted to equate this now also to passenger capacity, because I know I need to, here it says passenger capacity, so somehow I need to. So I'm going to say, well, if my small buses are representative of S, then my passenger capacity, or the number of passengers on each small bus, would be the same as 12S. So for every small bus I have 12 people. One small bus I have 12, two small buses I have 24, 3 is 36, and so on and so on and so on. And for my large buses I could do something similar and call that 24S. So there's my passenger capacity. So that's what I've been able to get or gather from the first parts of my statement here. School district has buses that carry 12 passengers and buses that carry 24. Well, my small buses are S, my large buses are L. 12 times S gives me my capacity on my small buses. 24 times S, or not S, that should not be an S. You're all probably freaking out right now. That should be an L. 24 times my large number of buses will give me my passenger capacity on my large buses. Next statement here, total passenger capacity is 780, which means the total number of passengers that I could get by using buses has to add up to 780. Now I don't know what the values of S and L are, so to make my equation I can say 12S plus 24L is equal to 780. Total number of bodies on my small buses plus the total number of bodies on my large buses is going to equal 780. Now here's the tricky one. The tricky one comes from the next statement. There are 20 more small buses than large buses. So there are more small buses than large buses. To make them equal to each other, I have to add 20 to my large buses to make them equal, because there are already 20 more small buses. So to make them equal, I add 20 to my large buses. Or similarly, I could say, well, if I take 20 away from my small buses, they would be equal. Either or. Okay? Either or would work perfectly fine. But for simplicity, I'm just going to quickly erase one. There we go. And then it says verify. So here's our system. Our system of equations is this. This tells me our passenger capacity. This tells me the number of actual buses. Okay. Verify that there are actually 35 small buses and 15 large buses. So to verify that, what I do is I take each of those equations, 12S plus 24L is equal to 780. 780. And I substitute in this value for small buses and this value for large buses. So this looks like 12 times 35 plus 24 times 15 equals 780. This works out to 420 plus 360 equals 780. And 780 equals 780. Now, it works for that equation, but I haven't verified yet because I have a second equation that I also have to test. L plus 20 is equal to S. My number of large buses is 15 plus 20 is equal to 35 Is 35 equal to 35? Yes, it is. So here I have verified that there are 35 small buses and 15 large buses based on the system of equations that I developed from this word problem here. Okay. And that's basically the process for 7.1 that you kind of go through. You'll be asked to develop equations from information in a word problem. Sometimes you'll be told some information to test to see if it actually works or if it's verified, and then go from there. 7.2, we start to look at, well, what can we do with those systems of equations now?